Hello and welcome to my kitchen. I'm just getting myself set up on Instagram right now. There we are. Hello. How is everyone doing on this wild Tuesday? I've been experimenting in private. I got myself set up a little bit early in the kitchen. I wanted to make sure that I was all ready for you, and I have been preparing all my lovely squash-based dishes for you to enjoy, and I'll show you some quick recipes that will be both sweet and savory, fun, not complicated. We need to have a little fun in the kitchen. It's interesting. I went to the grocery store today and had a cute experience. But first of all, let me introduce myself. I'll give you a couple minutes to settle in. It's Tosca Reno. Yep, I'm showing off my apron, nothing else. And I am the founder and author, founder of the Eat Clean movement and the author of all the Eat Clean diet books and recipes, and enjoying not the least of which is all of you all. So thank you very much for joining me. And please take a moment and shoot me your name in the comments. That would be awesome. I'd like to know where you're listening from. And if you think someone might enjoy having a little fun in my kitchen for the next 30 minutes or so, why don't you just tag them quickly? Send me a heart, send me lots of hearts and thumbs up. And can you hear me? Are you able to hear the sound okay? I've been working on my internet connection, which gives me no end of stress. So anyway, welcome. And I did start a little bit early, so I'll give you all a few more minutes. Grab your cup of tea or else grab your squash, and let's have a little fun in the kitchen. And really, how are you feeling? Because I honestly am very interested in your state of mind. I feel like mine waffles. I've been great at home. This is my little old-fashioned, log cabin home, as you can see. And I'm really good when I'm here and when I'm working out and when I'm in the fresh air. And then I went into town today, and it was so weird because I noticed at the bank there was a lineup of people outside. Nobody was inside, and you had to stand like what is it, meters apart from everybody. So I don't want to subscribe to the fear. I haven't yet. In fact, I believe the virus is really here to teach us and upgrade us and shift our DNA into something more powerful, as long as we can see the message, because already some beautiful things have been happening, so many difficult things. I understand that, and I obviously we missed so many things already in, say, my grandchildren's lives, and my mother, I worry about her, 84, but let's just take the next 30 minutes and fill our hearts with a little bit of peace and a little bit of fun that we have control over in our kitchens, where it feels good to build beautiful, delicious foods that support our immune system. And I'm going to use the word support as opposed to boost, because I was talking to a doctor over this whole thing about supporting and boosting, and there was a great deal of upsettedness about using the word boost the immune system. Look in full color, dense foods, or you didn't. And now we have the opportunity to correct that. So I'm starting with a fun little vegetable called squash. Keep on sending hearts, and go ahead and grab some folks to join in here. I'd love you all to be part of this, and I would also love you to, if you're listening on the replay, which I fully appreciate many of you will, just go ahead and put hashtag replay in the comments so I know that you listened at a later time. I'm always trying to find the best time to talk to you. And I'm talking about squash because squash has been a long time incredibly nourishing food for many, many traditional peoples all around the globe. I was recently in Hawaii on the island of Kona, and the indigenous people there grow squash in the most unique way. They actually put like a trellis on a triangle and grow the squash so it's laying down, but it's aired. It's getting air from underneath. I thought that was brilliant. I'm going to go try that with my own squash in my own garden. And what I love about squash particularly is that there's so many different varieties and so many different flavors, and they can be sweet or savory. And what's also really brilliant about squash is you can tell by the, I'm just going to hold up a roasted squash here. I've got some butternut squash already cooked. And you can tell by the color that it is loaded with something called beta carotene. And beta carotene is a fat-soluble antioxidant that is a very powerful molecule as part of your immune system, helping you boost your immune wellness and helping, well, support, let's use the right word, support your immune wellness. And it helps really put the nutrient-dense molecules in the right place for you to become healthy. So I love to use these bright orange colors, and let's be honest, right? The sweet potato could fall into this category too. We could use it as sweet or savory. So let's get started. First of all, let me just explain the kabocha squash. It brought up a lot of, when I made the lentil stew the other day, it was very interesting. There were a lot of questions about it. This kabocha squash is one of the few squashes you can eat the peel. Right? So once it's been cooked, you can actually eat the peel of this, and it bone. And we just put pieces of, wedges of squash. It looks so pretty because the rind is green already, and then the inside flesh is so nice and orange. And it was delicious. It was so good. So, and I always have these on hand for another reason, which is because they keep. I know that my lettuces, like my greens, my spinach and so on, it won't keep. And I honestly don't know how long I'm going to be able to go to the grocery store and pick up the tender lettuces. So, I'm keeping a lot of squash around just because I think they're cheaper, they're safer. And also my trick is, these are organic squashes. I'm going to scoop out the pulp and save the seeds, so that I can then take these organic seeds and plant them in my garden. So the first recipe I'm going to make is something called Groaning Cake. And where so I'm going to crack 3 eggs into a bowl. I'll show you the mixing part in a minute, but where I first heard about Groaning Cake is when I read Amy McKay's The Birth House. So this recipe is based on Amy McKay's The Birth House, which is a story of how women used to give birth in earlier times. And there's this groaning cake recipe that's made, which is loaded with nutrients for brand new or laboring mothers. So I got to thinking about this recipe. Where's my glasses? There they are. It calls for, I will post these, right? But 2.5 cups of organic unbleached flour. I've been using this, which I love. It's local to me, close to where I live, and it's unbleached and lovely. So I'm getting, and it's non-GMO, so I like that very much. So I've measured 2.5 cups of flour in my bowl. I've sifted it this way. I don't have a fancy sifter. I just use a fine mesh sieve. Now I'm beating 3 whole eggs, and what I've added to the baking powder, it calls for 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and we need 1/2 cup of coconut oil, which I've already measured out and I melted it. It's not super hot, so I'm going to add that to the eggs. If it were really hot, it would cook my eggs and be kaput. I'm just going to mix those eggs up. Yeah, there we go. Plant-based milk. This is the wet ingredient. I measured out the plant-based milk and also the maple syrup. Maple syrup is going to be the sweetener. There you see that. So nice to have you all. Hi, everybody. It's so nice to be. I have to say, I think I've got the most brilliant audience. I'm so happy to be chatting with you and having this baking session. And just sharing a little bit of what I know about squash. What can I say? But I wanted to also just show you something interesting about eggs. So I went to the grocery store the other day and they had no eggs, but they did have duck eggs. Have any of you tried duck eggs? These are quite a bit bigger. I had duck eggs in Hawaii. Oh my goodness, they were fantastic. So you can see the size is different. You have to use their proportions differently in recipes. But if your store has run out of going to happen, it's going to happen over the course of this, then hey, then you can try a duck egg. So I actually did throw one duck egg in here. We're going to try it, see what we think. So I'm mixing up the wet ingredients. I'm also going to throw a dash of vanilla. It calls for a teaspoon. I'm not much of a measurer for you. So there's my vanilla that I've used, simply organic. It's a good quality. I don't want too much, yucky stuff in the food that I'm going to eat. Okay, so there's my wet. Now let's just make sure I've got the vanilla. Oh, this is what the squash. All right, so what I did was I baked a butternut squash. This is the other half of it. And see, this is how I do it. I leave the seeds in. I'm making a mess everywhere. I leave the seeds in, and then after I've cooked it, it's easier to get the seeds out, and then super easy to scoop the squash out of the the baked unit. All right, so now I need a half cup measure, which of course here it is right here. And I'm going to just put some of that squash into the half cup measure. This is what I'm doing right here. It's easy stuff. So this is great because in this case, the recipe is a sweet. It's going because it will blend nicely with the flavor of the maple syrup. Okay, so there's my half cup. And in Amy McKay's recipe, she doesn't call for this. She calls for grated apple. But I experimented with this before. And okay, so I'm mixing up. There we go. I got all that wet. But I experimented with squash. It actually smells really nice. It smells like a Canadian Thanksgiving or maybe an East Coast Thanksgiving. I know my friend James Trano is on this call. I thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for waving at me. Hi from South Florida. Carrie Ann, hey girl. Nice to see you. Charity, I love this. I'm seeing so many wonderful names. Okay, let's do a little check. Make sure that I've got my recipe straight. Look at this, my scribbling. I want to make sure, oh my goodness, of course. Let's go back to the flour mix right now. There's my sink right there. I just chuck things in. So part of the success of the Groaning Cake recipe is all of these spices. And spices contain information. Well, all food is information for ourselves. And these incredible spices not only taste amazing, but they combine to make a beautiful flavor in this Groaning Cake. So again, I will give you the recipe, but I've got cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, and ginger. And I've just blended them in a little bowl right here. Hi from Sweden. Hello, Ava. Thank you for joining us. Wow. All right, there's my spices, and I'm just going to add that. No, I didn't just throw it on the floor. Okay, and now I'm going to just add that and stir it around and get those beautiful flavors combined. Look, this isn't hard. If you can measure and sift, it's so much fun. Yeah. Okay, and we just move that around so that you can see that these are nicely distributed. Just one thing that I want to add. Hold on one second. We're going to get from my magic shelf. I go in there all the time to get my ingredients, and my magic shelf has a never-ending supply of things. So I'm just going to give this a little twist of salt to sharpen the flavors, right? That's what salt does. It sharpens the flavors. So not a lot, just a little bit. And we now have two bowls. We have a bowl of flour mixture, as you can see, a bowl of the wet mixture. I'll be right back. So just hold on tight, and I'm coming. My cupboard is full. And here we go. Okay, so now we need some molasses. And molasses is that I forgot to get my little kitchen witch to get that for me because somebody did all this food prep, namely me. So I need a quarter cup of molasses. And you know how it is. What is it? The slow boat to China, as slow as molasses? Takes a while for it to come out, right? But here it comes. Now, did you know there's an interesting story about molasses? It was discovered that when cane sugar workers were working with the cane sugar, particularly the molasses, that they had incredible hair. They had more hair than people who weren't working with molasses. And the reason for this is because this food, molasses, is mineral rich. And minerals are what it takes to grow our hair. Minerals are also what it takes to operate our immune system. So whereas we may not be rubbing molasses in our hair anytime soon, we can definitely put it into our lovely, ooh, look at that, just got like a beautiful color. Thank you for joining me. If you're just jumping in, it's Tosca Reno here, and I'm sharing my love of cooking with squash. And the reason for that, or many reasons, is because it can be sweet or savory. So I don't have to run out and get a bunch of apples or something if I'm out. I can make that squash taste sweet or savory. So I'm behaving a little bit wildly today, and we're going to do two things. We're going to do a sweet-based recipe, which is groaning cake, but I'm calling it butternut squash groaning cake. All right, one more time. This is why we check the recipes. Oh, I forgot. I had cardamom in there too. This is why we check the recipe. All right, so now we're going to combine these, and we're going to throw one bowl of liquid into. You just have to trust me because I think I'm a little bit out of camera range there. All right, so now I've got my wooden spoon. I'm going to make like a, an old lady here. Well, I am an old lady. I'm 60. What can I say? I'll keep my hair out of the dish. Oh, and the smell of this is just lovely, right? It's mixing this all up in. And the great thing about what you can do with this batter is one of two things. If you're in the mood for a muffins instead of bread or a loaf, look at this. Oh my goodness. Isn't that great? Okay, so if you'd rather have a bread, then you can pour this into a loaf pan, a 5x9 or 9 properly, of course. Oh, this smells so good. I think that molasses really helps. As you can see, it's just lovely. Incorporate all my flour, make sure there's no prizes at the bottom of the bowl. And you can pour this into a loaf pan and bake it at 350, and it will take about 40 to 45 minutes. But the other thing you can do, which I'm going to do this time, is I'm going to just put it as muffins, and it will make about 18 muffins. And so I will just drop the batter for the groaning cake in here. The other thing, if you're wanting to, you could add some flax seeds. I don't think I'll add flax this time though, but I might throw some raisins in, just for fun. So that's this recipe, and honestly, the batter it's quite lovely. It looks like, fun Play-Doh. So that's my sweet recipe. We're gonna throw those in the oven, and I'll show a before and after picture later. And the next thing we're gonna do is, now I'm gonna turn the corner, and we're gonna talk about, here we go, savory. And I went to the grocery store today. Again, I actually had my latex gloves on. It felt so weird, and people were walking around shopping with. When somebody got too close, they backed away, which is what we're supposed to do. I know that, social distancing. 2 meters is like, it's that much, isn't it? We have to really be far away from each other. But I'm so close to you. You're in my kitchen right now. You're actually cooking with me. And it's such a fun thing to do. It's such a fun thing to do, especially because, I don't know, you get to make a mess, and it's all for a good reason, and I quite enjoy that. So I hope you're sharing this with someone that you love. And I'm just throwing a little bit of melted coconut oil. And then I'm going to add some avocado oil because I need a tablespoon in here. That's about right. And I'm heating this up. And the next recipe we're going to make is butternut squash farro. But when I went to the grocery store, that was the recipe from the grocery store. I'm going to do an experiment with brown rice and peas, and I already soaked those last night, which is a very important step when it comes to all grains and legumes. You must soak them. So I'm heating up the oil, and what I've got in here is a mixture. It's called Mirepoix, but it's basically just a mixture of chopped onion, carrot, and celery, and garlic as well. So I'm going to throw that in the pan. There, you can hear the sizzling, right? Yes. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to heat that up. I just need another spoon. I love these big spoons. And let me see if I can turn this. I think I can so much, but one day I'll get really good at the cooking setup. Anyway, right now I am in my beautiful pan. I have it's like a Le Creuset, but this one is a Staub, and it's a heavy Dutch oven with my vegetables in it. And I like it because it's not Teflon, so that we don't get toxins in our body. Toxins, no thank you. Okay, we don't want that. Heavy metals that come out of a Teflon pan are very difficult to get out of your body. So this is cooking away, and we're going to let those, you can smell when things are starting to cook right and soft. They're softening. This is great. Okay, so that's the first thing we do is we put vegetables in there, and now I'm going to add some seasoning, some herb de Provence in here, and it says a half teaspoon. I don't know, I'm just closing my eyes. Hi Kelsey, that's my girl. Hello. And Amy Barnes. Well, we used to work together, Amy Barnes and I, a long time ago when we were on Good Morning America. This is smelling fantastic. Okay, I'm going to also salt, and for this part, I like to use the, this is Celtic sea salt, so you can see it's kind of wet and clumpy, and it's dirty looking, which is awesome. So for that, why I like to, because the Celtic sea salt is one of the few salt sources that doesn't have microplastics in it. The other one that has no microplastics is pink Himalayan salt. We want to keep microplastics out of our body, again, a toxin. And all those toxins stress our immune system. So do not stress our immune system that we needed. Our immune system is right now. Okay, so now we are throwing in the farro. So it says 1 cup. Now I think I'm going to just do that a little bit differently, and I'm going to do a cup of the soaked brown rice. Okay, half cup going in the pot. And you know how it works with farro, right? To keep liquid. So now I'm putting in my soaked peas. That goes in. I think it's going to be a nice mix. And there's a pea on the floor. I'm standing on it right now. And I'm letting that heat up. And look what I have. Oh yeah, liquid gold. Liquid gold. All right, this stuff, bone broth, it just rocks my world. I know. I'm a little cool things like that. Half cup of bone broth. You can use water, or you can use, I don't know, that's about a half cup. I'm going to chuck that in there. See what this looks like. Let's see if I can show this to you. I'm getting the pea off my foot too, because it's kind of bushy. All right, so this is what the mix looks like. And I wish you could smell it. It's steaming up my glasses, but there, can you see? Pour it, sort of? Yeah, okay. Once you get a little more in there, oh, this is nice, and it's starting to bubble. So now you cook this, and you stir it until that liquid gets absorbed. Now, here's the trick. Here's why it's so important to go ahead and soak everything overnight first. Because and the legumes, first of all, it shortens the cooking time when you can soak them first. And it also removes, now that I've touched them, I'll just put them in the pan. It also removes the phytic acid. So you do not want to be eating phytic acid because it interferes with mineral absorption. So you need to soak your legumes, your grains, and you need to soak your nuts and seeds too. And it's a step that most people can't be bothered with, but it makes a huge difference in the nutritional value. And right now, with our immune systems needing all the help and support that they can get, we need to. Minerals are, and minerals are something that are very poorly in. Compared to our ancestors, we are at least 4 times less mineralized than they are, if not 40. So that means that we have to be trying to get those minerals in our bodies every chance we get. This is smelling amazing. So we're going to keep on doing this to keep adding the broth and so on. And you're probably wondering, well, Tosca, you said there was going to be a squash in here somewhere. I know, I did. That's why I cooked it. So what I'm going to do is I will scrape out these seeds. The squash goes in at the end. So what I have to do now is, I'm just going to use this over here, It's kind of messy in my kitchen right now, but it smells good and it feels good. And I have to be honest with you, I was really struggling. I had a couple of days, yesterday and Sunday, where I felt a lot of sadness for what's happening, and sadness for, like, my mom, who's 84, and who knows how much time any of us have, and here we are. Time is basically being taken from us, and we don't have the opportunity to be together like we used to, and it kind of made me sad. And then at the same time, I'm celebrating the fact that we're all taking a moment to enjoy ourselves, and to, I think really just take 5, pump the brakes and say, wait, whoa, like, really, there's more to life than running around like. And so that's what this is about for me. I'm happy to be in your lives doing this, and I'm happy to be self-isolating with my daughter. She's kicking my butt with workouts. It's really fun. A workout as well, so I hope you join me. Kettlebell workout. Don't worry if you don't have a kettlebell, it's fine. You can do it with anything. Last week I said you can toss a baby around. I'm kidding, of course, but it'll be fun. So 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. Also, I better stir the risotto, huh? Right, there we go. Yep, the liquid is actually, you can see it's, well, no, you can't see, but it's steaming, and all the liquid is absorbing, and yes, it's lovely. So also I wanted to remind, the best thing you can do in crazy times is not be tempted to eat the sugar. Sugar is one of those things that badly with your immune defense. And actually, when you eat sugar, any kind of refined sugar or carbohydrate, bread, I'm sorry to say it, but it actually depresses your immune system for 3 hours. So when your immune system is down, sort of snuffed out because of the sugar and those refined carbohydrates, this opportunity the virus is looking for to get in and get you, and we don't want to give it that opportunity. We want to stay healthy, and I honestly had such a beautiful message from a client yesterday who wrote to me and said, Tosca, I went to the doctor, I followed your Strike Sugar program, and I have my usual annual checkup, and normally my blood pressure is through the roof, and my blood sugars are a mess, and I'm overweight. But she said, I have lost weight, my blood pressure is down, my cholesterol is down by 44 points in less than 3 months, and she's off her high blood pressure medication, and she's off of her diabetes medication, and she's off all these pills, and her whole life has changed just because she finally got it together and stopped eating sugar. It's amazing. One little thing that can mess it up so much. Okay, I gotta throw some more, here we go, some more broth in here. There we go. And then we cook that, this is where you get the wine. This is where you get the glass of wine. But that's sugar, so right now I'm not doing that. But this is why the bone broth too, right? And if you caught my earlier live with making bone broth, that thing exploded. I think maybe we ran out of bones in North America or something, because so many people made bone broth and sent me their pictures. And I wanted to also share with you that it's okay when your bone broth has that fat layer on top, because that actually protects it and has nutrients in it as well. So don't throw that away, and don't be upset about that. So Donna Martin is asking, what book do I start to follow? I'm in sugar addiction. I joined one of my, I wrote that program in 2014, and the thing that's happened is people are using it over and over again to heal themselves. It's a 4-week sugar reset. So basically no sugar for 4 weeks. I've created a menu plan, recipes, and I have taught you basically how to reset all your, that you're never going to be in distress again. And sometimes people love it so much they actually stay on a sugar-free style of eating, which I personally do follow myself, and they just keep doing it over and over again. I think I actually need to create a new set of recipes for Strike Sugar. But that's where you would go. That's a great question, Donna. Thanks for asking that. And honestly, if you have any questions at all, I'd be so pleased to answer them. And also to thumbs up, your critiques, anything that you're interested in learning, because I want to serve you, and I plan to come out more consistently over the next couple of days and weeks. We don't know what we're into, right? We have no idea what this looks like going forward. But I would like to show up more frequently and help you with these kinds of things so that life just feels a little bit calmer, less chaotic. So, and until, what day is it? Thursday, I'll be doing a pancake cooking session, but no, I'm going to teach you how to make the sweet alternative toppings, not the sugar and the icing sugar and all that garbage. We're going to have some fun stuff with pancakes. I know, who would think you'd have fun with pancakes, but we can. And then the other thing we'll do is, hello from Italy. Oh, can we all just please send Ellie Alexis? Can we just send her a whole wave of hearts right now? Oh my, Italy, you are so much in our hearts, and your cooking must be through the roof right now, I'm sure, if you're stuck in your homes. Yeah, just bring out all the love, and send that to our Italian friend here. Hello, hello. And also, anyone from Canada, anyone from all over the world, thank you so much for joining. Okay, so here we go. The risotto is going to take a couple more passes with the broth, but you pretty much get the idea. And that's the dish. And somebody's asking, Kelsey's asking, my homemade bone broth makes my tongue low. Could be a couple of things. You might want to check on the quality of your bones. Very important to have good quality bones. And also, let's see now, what else could be? It depends if you're using organic fruits and vegetables in your broth, because genetically modified with tummy as well. So let's just go back to the beginning, to the basics of your recipes, and make sure that they are organic and non-GMO. This is why I'm using this type of, it's organic, unbleached, and somewhere on here it says organic. And those sorts of things have less negative effect on your tummy. But it's also true that some things just don't sit well with people, right? So you may want to try, instead of a bone broth, you might want to try a vegetable-based broth. That might be fun too. So I'm super happy that you're asking that question and any other kinds of questions too. I'm hoping you're feeling our love in Italy. I really, really, a lot of people mistake me for Italian, Tosca Reno. I'm not Italian, I'm Dutch. And I got the name Tosca Reno. My husband, that was his nickname for me. Oh, someone's sharing a story about Bob. I just was talking about him. Hi, Tosca. I have to tell you a very thing it did for me as I was learning about clean eating. I wrote to him and he sent me the book. So thoughtful. I will never forget his kindness. This comes from AK Hosla 123. Yeah, Bob and I used to make a thing of it. We would send books to people when they were either, expressing some sort of very interesting question, or at a time in their lives we wanted to share that. So kudos to Bob. And kudos to Eating Clean. I think it's time for a new book and a new series of recipes. And maybe this will come out of this, what I believe to be an incredibly creative period right now. Us being here in the virus, this is our opportunity to really step into who we are and maybe acknowledge the parts of us that we haven't had an opportunity for. For me, that's going to be, more cooking, writing more books. I want to do a TV show. I actually want to tell my story. I think I've got a lot of interesting things like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So I want to thank you. Yes, this is the part where we laugh now. And here comes the show finale. So I will be posting what are called the beauty shots in the television world when we're all done. Let's see, somebody's got Tosca, do a book with me on Ayurvedic cooking. All right, you reach out to me. If you've got an idea, you reach out to me. That would be perfect. This is all about collaboration, and this is about gathering what's around us and creating beautiful, beautiful, harmonious, high vibration things in life, right? That I think we're going to see an enormous burst of creativity. I can't wait to show you the beauty dots of my dishes. My little experimental dish that was supposed to be farro, but rice and peas. And I really, really wish you a blessed and love-filled and life. Take some time to detox your mind, go outside, practice your social distancing, yes, but go outside and breathe in what Mother Nature has to offer. For the first time in many parts of the world, people can hear the birds sing again. Places like China that have had pollution and staggering amounts of illness and so on, they can now hear the birds sing again. Isn't that magical? And frankly, I want to hear the birds sing. I want to go out and breathe in fresh air, and I want to raise the vibrational energy of this planet, not just through my words and my thoughts and my creations, but through food. Because in the end, everything we eat is information for your cells. So let's give them the best information possible. Okay, I'm over and out. God bless to all of you, wherever you are in the world, Italy, Sweden, and all of these beautiful places. That's my light. I'm flashing it at you, but there you go. It's my beauty light, you see? I need light because my cottage is so dark. But I do love you, and please back. I've got more scheduled. Please go. And, oh, that light. And let's start a relationship. It doesn't have to be just you watching me. I would love to reach out to you and share everything I have, and I promise I will do that. Okay. Good light, and have a wonderful, wonderful